My head went back to the left. Say that again. Back and to the left.
Welcome to Random Movie Reviews. I'm Nathan, and today I'll be talking about JFK. So why did I decide to watch JFK today and make a video talking about it? I have reasons why I wanted to watch this movie. I'm not going to get into those reasons. I'm going to leave you guys free to speculate as to why I wanted to watch a movie about the most famous political assassination in our history. But in all seriousness, this is a movie that I've been wanting to rewatch for quite some time. I watched JFK for the first time just a few years ago. And I was just completely blown away by the movie. I was blown away by the technical aspects of it, the performances, the overall look and feel of the film, the pacing, the energy, and of course the subject matter, which is not just an interest to me, it's an interest to pretty much anyone who's even remotely interested in conspiracy theory and particularly political conspiracy theories. And JFK and the assassination around JFK in particular is arguably the most famous conspiracy theory in American history by far. The film is an adaptation of two books. The first book was On the Trail of the Assassins by Jim Garrison, who is Kevin Costner's character in this movie. Jim Garrison is was the district attorney for New Orleans at the time of John F. Kennedy's assassination. And he was the only person in American history to bring the Kennedy assassination to trial by alleging American businessman and military officer Clay Shaw as being directly a part with the conspiracy to assassinate President John F. Kennedy. And that's the point of view of the movie. We're getting Jim Garrison's point of view, him kind of tumbling down the rabbit hole of the assassination of John F. Kennedy, trying to find the motivation behind it, if there was a conspiracy, why, who was involved, where does this reach? Does this go all the way up to the White House and the President Lyndon B. Johnson? It's basically him wrestling with all of this insane subject matter and him trying to make sense of it all. And the movie obviously was quite controversial at the time, and I think in many ways it still is controversial. What I love about the movie is that regardless of if you believe Jim Garrison's point of view on the assassination, he believes that there were numerous shooters. He believes that the CIA was directly involved. He does believe that Lee Harvey Oswald was in fact a patsy and was set up to be framed for the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Regardless of whether you believe all of that stuff or not, it's just fascinating to see that point of view. And my feelings on the assassination of John F. Kennedy is that regardless of whether Lee Harvey Oswald legitimately acted alone or whether there was multiple shooters, if you look at the base facts of the Kennedy assassination on that day, and you look at all the information that is not disputed but is factual information, there's simply just a lot of things that don't add up. And Oliver Stone very brilliantly brings a lot of that to the attention of the viewer who's watching the film. He brings up all of the things that don't really make a lot of sense, from the fact that Lee Harvey Oswald was not a good marksman and that they tried to get the top marksman in the country to replicate what Oswald allegedly did, and they failed at it. That's just one of the major examples. Other examples include, why was security so lax that day? Why did they change the route of the motorcade to go down a certain path? I mean, it brings up a lot of legitimate questions, and I don't think you have to necessarily agree with what Oliver Stone is trying to portray in this movie. I think this movie's best viewed with an open mind, and it's just, regardless of whether you agree with it or not, I don't think there's any denying just how exceptionally well made this movie is. So there's two ways to view the movie. You look at the movie in terms of its subject matter and the way it explores it, and then you can just view the movie on the surface level, entertainment value, and the film succeeds on both fronts wholeheartedly, in my opinion. JFK in particular is a movie that gets recognized as being one of the greatest edited films of all time. And I completely agree. I think the editing in this movie is exceptional. I think the way this movie is able to juggle around so much different information is incredible, and the editing is a big reason why the movie has its sense of pacing. There's not one dull moment in this movie. The pacing is fast, but it's exhilarating, and it's one of the best movies to watch and be like, oh, I'm looking that up. Like, oh, who's that guy? I've never heard of that guy. David Ferry, was his eyebrows really that fucked up? You look at a picture, you're like, yep, they really were. It's one of the best movies to like kind of pause and play, where it's like if you want to look up information, it's just so much. It's fascinating, it's fun, but it's also extremely serious. And personally, I tend to gravitate towards art that questions authority, that encourages people to think for themselves, that encourages people to try to ask the tough questions that maybe other people are afraid to ask. And that's essentially what this movie does. Is it encourages conversation, it encourages debate, it encourages people to look up the information for yourself, make up your own mind about it. At least that's how I interpret it. Maybe others may interpret it differently. But like I said, on a technical level, the way the movie's filmed, the way the movie kind of time jumps, it goes back to the assassination and then it goes forward into the future with Jim Garrison trying to build a case against Clay Shaw. The way the movie shows kind of like hypothetical theories, showing scenes that probably didn't happen in history, but the way Oliver Stone recreates them to show what Jim Garrison's point of view or his personal theories on what happened that day. It's all amazing to watch. And then you go to the performances. This movie in particular has a huge amount of actors who are amazing. It will take too long to name them all. But Kevin Costner in particular is really something in this movie. His ending monologue and the emotion and passion he puts into it is probably the best acting Costner's ever done. Kevin Costner's not one of those actors where he's the most versatile or he has the largest range of other actors. He is one of those actors when he finds a role that suits him, and he really knocks it out of the park. And I think this is his best performance, in my opinion. This is a movie that makes you think. It's a movie that, like I said, it has an energy that just keeps you on the edge of your seat. And you don't have to agree with all the things that are being talked about in the movie, but I would be shocked if anyone was watching this movie and they were bored by it. I mean, this movie is 3 hours long. There's not one moment that it feels like it's 3 hours long. I mean, for me, it feels like a 2-hour movie, if that. Like the pacing is go, go, go. There's so many amazing standout scenes. One scene in particular is when Garrison talks to a man who goes by the name of X as an alias, played by Donald Sutherland. That scene in particular, if you want to see an example of how exceptionally well edited and well paced this movie is, just look at that kind of like 20-minute segment. And that right there is kind of, that scene in particular is almost like the heart of the movie in terms of why should we ask these questions? Why should we look deep into this? Like, what's the motivation for us to go down this rabbit hole? That scene in particular explains why it's important to ask questions and to challenge authority and to look deep into things and not just take things on a surface level. But yeah, I think this movie is exceptional. I think it is probably the greatest political thriller of all time. There's a lot of great political thrillers out there. All the President's Men is a really good one. But that movie doesn't even come close to matching this one, just in terms of energy. And like this movie has some of the most tense scenes ever. I mean, the Zapruder film sequence that we see in the final act, we see the actual footage of Kennedy being assassinated, which is very hard to watch because it's real. But man, just that whole breakdown of the scene, Jim Garrison trying to disprove that Oswald worked alone, talking about the magic bullet theory that was in the Warren report, talking about all of the witnesses that mysteriously died not too long after the Kennedy assassination, and then the people who were directly related to Shaw and Oswald, how they died mysteriously as well. I mean, like I said, this is a movie that's going to make you question things, and that is one of its best assets. And then the other best asset is that it's just an entertaining freaking movie that is so great. It's a perfect thriller. I absolutely love it. I can go on and on about this movie. I think it's exceptional. It's probably Maybe it's tied with Platoon, with Oliver Stone's best movie. I really love Platoon for completely different reasons. I might talk about that movie in the future. But tell me what you guys think of this movie. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Do you think this is Oliver Stone's best movie? Do you believe in the theories that Oliver Stone brings up in this film? Do you disagree with it? List it all in the comments below. And as always, thank you guys for watching.